Hello. Hello, beautiful soul. I pray that you are doing well. I'm Dr. Andrea Pennington, creator of the Cornerstone Process and the Attunement Meditation. And today I am in Manhattan talking to you about resilience. In fact, I want to talk to you about one of the top 10 traits of highly resilient people, which is in my most recent book. There is this trait called flexibility or adaptability. That is your inherent capacity to give and take, to bend, to be flexible, instead of being rigidly attached to getting your way or only one way for things to work out. So I am on a trip in America, visiting 4 cities. So you can imagine between trains, planes, and automobiles, there have been some shakeups with summer travel. Add in all the COVID stuff, and that's a whole nother layer of drama. And yes, I've had delayed flights and had to rebook and all of that sort of stuff. And the number one thing that I have been relying on to not lose my cool, to not go off on anyone, and to not put my own health at risk by becoming overly stressed out, is to be flexible and adaptable. And for some people, that requires effort. I used to be a type A aggressive perfectionist, and I was rigidly attached to my plans, my goals, my strategies. And of course, with life, getting knocked around enough times, you start to learn that you hurt yourself. If we stand rigid and fixed, when the storms of life come, we risk breaking or snapping. And I used to snap at people when I was edgy and irritable, when things didn't go my way. But over the course of the years, practicing compassion and mindfulness and just common sense wisdom, seeing how life actually works, I've been able to realize that I need to be like, a reed, some sort of a plant that can be in flow and gentle and forgiving of circumstances, forgiving of myself, forgiving of others. So I'm wondering, which of the top 10 traits are you tuning into this week or this summer? We have a whole range of them, and even if you feel like you're low on one of these traits, the good news is these are skills and traits that you can build up. You can enhance your resilience resources. You'll see soon that you can take my resilience quiz totally free. It will help you identify which of these top 10 traits do you score high on, which ones are you a little low on that you need to develop and enhance. You'll also get an overall resilience score. So what does that tell you? Well, it tells you what you can work on to make your life better, to make your relationships better, to make it so that you are stress resistant instead of PTSD prone. And the good thing about resilience is it sets you up for post-traumatic growth, meaning that whatever adversity or drama or trauma comes into your life, the more resilient you are and the more you work on your mindset, the greater the likelihood that you will be able to use that adversity as a catalyst for growth. And post-traumatic growth, people who experience that, yes, they admit that they went through some hard stuff and they may have even suffered greatly. But they learn the lessons. They find out that life is more meaningful. They find out that personal relationships take on a whole new meaning and significance. They find that life is worth living, and why wait and put things off? So there's this greater appreciation for life, greater relationships, a greater sense of purpose or mission, and even spiritual growth. So that's post-traumatic growth in a nutshell. So these top 10 traits of highly resilient people, you can check out in my book. The link is in the bio. You can also check it out on my website, innatevitality.com. That's IN, the number 8, vitality.com, or visit andreapennington.com. So these 10 traits, the first one is awareness. It's all about emotional intelligence, like knowing who you are, what makes you tick, what sets you off, your stress triggers, and also how you got programmed that way. Because it's all just stories. All of these stories that we have in our minds about who we are, about what we can handle, about the way the world should work, they're all stories. They're stories that we have inherited for generations and generations and generations. They're the stories that were impressed upon us from our family and our peers, and of course the media, society, and religion. But the good news is this: they're all stories. And while we humans are wonderful storytellers, we can change those stories and beliefs. And that, to me, is the most important thing as a physician, as a healer, because I know that it doesn't matter what treatment I give you or how many solutions I throw at you. If your fundamental beliefs are that you can't change, or that you don't deserve well-being, or it's too hard, too this, too that, then it doesn't matter how many lifelines we throw at you, how many good treatment programs we throw at you. So the good news is you can change your beliefs. If you find that difficult, there are resources on my website that will help you identify the core beliefs that may be blocking your progress and success in life. We can actually get into a brainwave state that gives us access to the subconscious mind so that we can transform those core beliefs. And that will change your physical health. That will change your relationships. It will change the way you show up in the world because it changes your perspective. And that's why affirmations alone don't work if you don't get into the subconscious mind. So I started all of this talking about resilience. Resilience is an inborn capacity for us to bounce back, to recover when there is an accident, an illness, an injury, or some sort of a setback. This week, I'm relying on flexibility and adaptability as my resilience traits so that I am, not derailed and stressed out just because plans change. So I'm wishing you a wonderful rest of your week. If you're joining me at Omega Institute in a couple of days, I can't wait to see you there. Much love, my friend. Please do remember that you are a gift to the world. So share your presence with passion. Much love.